Hi, I'm Erin from the Witch of Saturn here with Jay from Iridescent Tarot. And
Hey,
this is Two of Moms Tarot Deck Connectors Club for the Mary L. Tarot Week.
yikes.
I'm so I'm so excited to hear what you have to say because you have not said like a word about this deck to me all week, which I feel like is a bad sign.
Usually in Deck Connectors Club, we're like posting on our Instagram posts, our spreads, and we're chit-chatting back and forth and our texts, you and me, and like just like fully enveloped in the process of like being connected with the deck. And I was so happy that you didn't ask me how it was going. Like,
Well, I thought about it and I was like, well, it's clearly not going well. So,
so you didn't ask, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I really just wanted to tell you once we hit record that I DNF'd this deck.
what does that mean? What does DNF?
So in the in the book world, if you are reading a book and you're like, "This is so bad, I can't finish it," it's called DNF.
Oh,
Did not
do
finish.
not finish.
I DNF'd this deck.
See, I love an acronym and I don't even know that one. Wow. Oh, wow, that's really interesting because like there have been books that I wanted to DNF and I can't do that. I have
I
to finish it
Yes.
to see like maybe there's this chance for redemption and it just there have been certain books that I will never forget because I hated them so much and was so angry about how much time they sucked from
Uh-huh.
my life.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Listen, I am exactly the same. Like I have the hardest time not finishing something. I'm a completionist. Like I just am. And it's actually Julie Peekaboo Rose who was like, if you don't like something, just stop. Like, why are you forcing yourself? And even you're like, oh, your thought study, you don't like it, just stop.
Yeah, well
Like,
that's different because a study there it should be something that you're passionate about and engaged with and that's feeding you and like
why wouldn't you say the same thing about a book though? Like you could say the same thing about reading a book.
yeah, but here's the thing is that the book comes to an end. There's a storyline, there's an arc, right? That the author creates. And I know that there's a finite point of it to end. A study like could be your whole life. You could spend studying something, you know what I mean? There's not like if you're like, well, I'm gonna study this for 5 days and then be done. Well, then yeah, finish the 5 days, even if it's a drag, but like I don't know. I think it's a little different when there's like when you know on page 247 it's over.
I have had historically the hardest time doing the same. Like I feel like, well, I bought it, I paid for it, I'm all this way through. You have this like time investment and what is that fallacy called? Sunk cost. Jesus Christ. Sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. So this is what Google said. The fallacy of being unable to quit something due to past investment is the sunk cost fallacy. It causes people to continue a venture, job, relationship, even when it's unfulfilling or detrimental, solely because they've invested significant time, money, or effort into it. I have major issues with this fallacy.
Some cost. Got it. The
So,
sum of
like,
something.
yeah, I have a book. What is it that I'm reading? The Mary Magdalene mystery, something or other. It's a 14-hour audiobook. And I'm like, I have 5 hours left into it. My sunk cost fallacy is like, just finish it. You already sunk 10 hours into it. And then Julie in my head is like, just let it go. Like, why are you
Yeah, why are you
forcing
doing this
force
to yourself?
feeding? Anyways, regardless, I DNF'd Marielle.
Wow. How many days did you get through? No. You only
One
did
day.
1 day?
Yes.
You only did a deck interview.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I really hope she doesn't ask before we get on camera because I wanted to
Well,
see your
if I
face.
had, I would have made you do more than that. I would have been
I
like,
know.
at least give it like do 2 more days, do a regular reading and
Oh,
then
I
do
know. That's why I
pairing.
didn't want you to tell me to do that because I didn't want to do them.
Oh my gosh.
So, so welcome, ladies and gents, to the Erin Lento show on Mary L. Because I mean, I do have some stuff to contribute, but like, I
Okay.
knew as soon as I pulled this deck out of the box, this was a goodbye.
Was it all of the dongs?
It was all the dongs. Like who knew? There was so many there like
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I mean, I kind of feel like it's intentionally visually jarring.
yes.
Like it's very confrontational, this deck. It's intense. It's an intense deck. Like, whoa. But there are quite a few dongs in the deck.
There yeah.
How
I
many,
put
you know?
I put all the dongs aside because I don't want to see it flagged on YouTube.
Okay.
So you're
So
not going to see
how many cards are off to the side? How many cards are in the dong pile?
oh one. Okay, four very easy to find ones, and then I'm sure there's more that I
Oh, there's
didn't.
some hidden ones. So what made you were the one who wanted this deck.
Okay, I
So
like the
let's
backs.
rewind to like what was going on there.
The backs, the gilding. No, okay. So what went on is that I've known about this deck for years and years and years. And it's one that I've never watched a walkthrough on because it's just so prevalent that like people show a couple cards here and there. You think that you have a pretty decent idea of the artwork, but like never truly I never truly went card by card to see if this was something for me. Um I
Okay.
had in the back of my mind known that like a couple of other tarot tubers really like this deck. One of my other favorite tarot tubers, Lily Art and Tarot, did a deck study on this and matched it up with books and different media, and it was so interesting. But like I never paid that much attention to the cards themselves. I just paid attention to the things that people were saying about the guidebook and the way that they related this deck to other things. So I kind of let it be a mystery of like what the artwork was going to be like until it arrived. And that's when I knew when I pulled it out and flipped through, I was like, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah. Oh, this is too funny. So when I did my practice of laying out the deck to see, what do all the majors look like? What about each one of the suits? Let's take it all in as one, work. Um, I was like, what the hell am I looking at here? You know,
Uh-huh.
it made less sense as a whole visually to me than it did like flipping through the cards like you're doing now, which
Yeah.
was interesting because usually I get some kind of like insight or more information from that practice of laying it out.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, they were like the deck as a whole has its own world, and each card looks like it's part of the world, but they don't all look like they're connected in the world.
yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's definitely it, which is just an interesting facet of this deck. And I don't love this artwork. It's definitely not like a style that I would be drawn to on its own accord. But when I got the deck and immediately went to the guidebook and started reading that, like I was really impressed with the guidebook.
So what was it about the guidebook that you were impressed by?
So in the beginning, in her just introduction to the tarot and the landscape of the abyss and the history behind the tarot and the time period that we're kind of, I think this deck pulls from in terms of Memento Mori and the Dance Macabre. I just thought it was really interesting and really well written and really got me like stoked to kind of work with this in that like setting or scene, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like the landscape of this deck is intriguing to me. It reminded me of Penny Dreadful. Did you ever see that show?
No, but I know of it.
Of it? Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a little dark for your kind of taste, but it reminded me of like that world that this deck kind of pairs up to. Like I was like, oh, I kind of want to rewatch Penny Dreadful reading this for some reason.
Mm.
I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments if anybody agrees with that. And then when I started reading with the deck, like I really liked my deck interview, although there was like a dong right in the center of it, which was interesting.
I think I had a center dong too. Hold on.
Center dong.
No, I did. I had a center dong. I had the ace of disc center dong.
Oh wow. See, I had King of Cups is interesting. I sat with that interview. That's the thing. The other thing about this deck is that for me, it is a deck where I need time to sit down and to read the guidebook and to try to wrap my brain about around what's being said in the guidebook because it is a lot. There
Mm,
are
yeah.
like a lot of systems woven into this. It's a very big kind of more esoteric type of deck. Like there's no like she gives some keywords and stuff, but for the most part, it's like a very big explanation of, do you agree with that? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
so I had to give myself time to sit, to read the guidebook, to pull out the pieces that were really resonating with me, to then weave together the cards as a whole. And it was just like, it was a big process. It was a commitment. It wasn't something
Yes.
that I could just, throw a couple cards down and be like, cool, and bebop along somewhere else. Like it was
Yeah.
there's a process to it, which I appreciate. I like that. It's just not something for me that's like an everyday type of reader. And
Yeah, and I think the word you used to describe it, weaving it together, is very apt because it is. You're taking the card, you're reading the guidebook, then you're taking the next one, you're reading through, then you're weaving those together, and it's on and on. And each card requires that process. And so it's, as weaving is, a very slow, and it's not that it's tedious, it's just it requires that attention to detail and the commitment to doing that. And I don't have an issue with that. It's just if I'm going to do that, I want it to be an enjoyable, like looking at the cards enjoyably, aesthetically, in order to put that much into it.
yeah, it's intensive.
Yes.
It's intensive. And I said that on one of my Instagram posts and then on Facebook somebody was like, I don't know, I think a little offended by that is how it read. I mean, it's text, so who knows what the real tone was, but it was kind of like, well, I use this deck every day, and like for you to say it's not good enough to be an everyday reader, and I was like, well, okay, I didn't say that. I'm saying that for me, this is not something I'm going to pick up every day because I'm just not in the space every day mentally to, have this type of experience. Um,
Yeah, and it probably wouldn't even be about it being good enough because I think any deck could be good enough to be an everyday reader. It's if you want to put that work into it to learn it to the point where it could be an everyday reader for you. That's a different thing of whether it's good enough to be that.
I just it's not even like that to put in the work or anything. It's that I think that this deck for me has a level of expansiveness and intensity. Like it's the landscape of the abyss for a reason. Like that's the name of the deck. And for me, that's not an energy that I am able to sit with and take in on an everyday basis.
Okay. And that's fair enough that you know that
Yeah.
about yourself, right?
Like that's just something that, yeah, I want to connect to an energy like this and do a reading like this when I want a reading like this. But I don't want that
Yeah.
every day. It's
And that's why
just,
we have all these decks.
yeah, exactly. And so I even found that to do this week, to do all 5 days, took me almost 2 weeks. There was like a 5 day break where I didn't read with it between day 3 and day 4. It was just like the way that we started the timeline um, afforded me some extra time. And I was glad for that because even after my deck Oh, it was so I did the deck interview and then I did the library of questions, which I thought paired so good with this deck. I thought that like the type of questions that are in the library of questions book, um, which have, this like more darker, more, I don't know, what's the right word for the
They
questions in this?
they have like a sometimes they have a shadowy lead to them.
Yeah, totally, exactly. So I thought that this was a great match with the Mariel Tarot, and I really liked that reading. But then the next day, I was like, I can't do that again. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
pull one Oracle card and one card for Marielle. And that's all I'm doing today. Like, I just couldn't sit and do the big expansive process of, note taking and really, weaving it all together and taking it in.
Yeah, the
Um,
brain power.
yeah, I needed like a break from that. And then I picked it back up and paired this with the Southern Gothic Oracle,
Ooh,
and
interesting.
I loved them together so much. So, so much. I thought that that was,
Do you have that in front of you? Can I?
do you see it?
That looks nice.
It was great. I really
Huh.
loved it. I thought that
Okay.
it looked really nice together. I thought that the cards kind of mirrored each other because if you can see, let me see if I can find it real quick. Um, one of the cards, especially here, it's right here on top. This one, the peach from
That's
Southern
such a
Gothic.
that's such a beautiful card.
I really like this oracle. I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking I might need to get more of her oracles now.
What else does she have?
Well, she has this trilogy now, so it's Southern Gothic, The Haunts, and then um Southern Botanical, maybe it's called. She has a graveyard one that I don't think I'm gonna get, but I kind of want to. Um, I really liked the guidebook for this too, and I like the art. I'm into it. I'm glad that I got this one. Hold on, I'm trying to find. Oh, well, you have her right there, the Empress. Hold that up a little bit. So I got the Empress paired with
Oh,
the peach, which I thought was
nice.
really interesting with this, the fruit. And then I also got the Mockingbird and Ten of Swords, which has this like crow-like rider. Let me see if I can find it. That I thought there was some mirroring happening in the imagery between these two decks. I really liked the way that they looked together, worked together, and read together. I was
Mm.
very happy with the here.
Yeah, because sometimes you hit one thing and it's good,
Not
like they look great together, but then the reading's meh, or they read together great, but you're like, oh, this just
they
like
don't
doesn't hit
look
it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that it was a good, see, look at those two.
Oh, yeah, they're even like looking in this
The
same
same
direction.
direction,
Yeah.
right? So it was like,
Cool.
I really liked this one. I was super, super stoked about this.
And how did you feel about that number of cards in this reading with the weaving it all together?
I mean, it was big. It was a lot of
Yeah.
work. But that day I had taken the break, right? I had had like 5 days between
Yep.
my last reading and this reading. And so I was ready for it. I was into
Yeah.
it. And it was one that I let sit out all day um, on my table here. And so I thought it was like a powerful reading and I was into it. And then I wrapped up with 365 Tao, which I always like working with. And I thought that the reading that I got on that day was really beautiful. So I got these three female figures all
Ah.
in that reading. Um, with Four of Wands on the bottom of the deck, which the imagery from Four of Wands is like a thing for me right now. I have a lot of decks that have cards that look like this, and
Uh,
they come up for me a lot, and I take pictures of trees like this, so it's just like kind of recurring theme. And I did have some stalker cards from Marielle come out, so I did feel like there was a good, continuation of messages for me from this deck.
I feel like really interestingly, when I was flipping through to pick out cards here, I noticed the Four of Wands because right after it, I had the Tower, and I was like, does that look like the same
Yeah, it does
tree?
kind of same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, but I really like this card. And I really liked that reading. So overall, I had a very good experience with it, but it's just not a deck that I'm going to be reaching for all the time.
It's not a casual reader.
No, I don't for me, it's not. I'm not saying it's like that for everyone, but for me that was kind of clear from the jump. Like I was like, okay, this is very like an intentional vibe. And when I did my video on my witchy deck collection, I put this at the end with like decks for the descent, which
Yeah.
this kind of fits into the same category for me as Ritual Tarot and Cave of Sybil, where it's intense. There's a certain level of energy with this deck or the readings that it gives for me that is something that I'm going to specifically engage in when I'm looking for that thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you tend to go for decks that allow you to do that more than I do. It's
Yeah.
more of something that you enjoy that more
I do.
than yeah, I don't get any enjoyment really out of decks like that. I like the practice that you're talking about. Like I don't mind exploring the depths, exploring the shadow, but I don't want to do it with confronting looking images.
Yeah, you don't. See, I look at some images like that and I'm like, ooh, interesting. And you're like, ooh, scary. And so
Yes.
just,
Yeah.
but like you're saying, you can still do that practice with a different style of deck that is more like that's why in that same video I was mentioning how Moonchild Shadow Edition feels like a very safe space and supportive space to do
Yes.
work like that, where you're going to get that same level of reading, but it's not going to feel like a punch in the gut that
Yes.
sometimes some of these cards will give you. But like,
Yeah.
again,
And that's
like
everyone has their own tastes and enjoyment, and that's why we are so lucky to have such variability because I don't know, I just like don't want to come to my decks and get punched necessarily. And
whereas
like
I'm
you get enough
like, sign me up.
yeah, right, yeah. But like that's such a personal choice. And to somebody else, that sounds like, yeah, I want something that's going to validate me and give me that in that way.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I just like that kind of shake up, or I like to look at the parts of myself that are responding to the imagery in that way and dig deeper into that. Even like, why does this feel confrontational? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what is it about this that is I find slightly disturbing and why? And I think that kind of is part of my practice with yoga in really sitting with things that are uncomfortable. Like that's a big
Uh-huh.
doing yoga is like, can you sit inside of, how do you sit inside of yourself when you're really uncomfortable, when things are not super enjoyable? Because yoga poses are not enjoyable. People are always like, oh, I thought this was going to be relaxing. It's like, yeah, well, afterwards, but while you're in it, you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? You know?
Uh-huh.
So that's just a huge part of like my life's practice is to really like, can I center myself and breathe through these moments of intensity and discomfort? And can I look at what comes up for me and how I react and respond to that and the emotions that arise? And so I kind of see that reflected too in my choice of confronting imagery with tarot decks because I'm like, oh, why do I feel this way? Like, why is this making me feel like I got punched in the gut or whatever it is? And can I explore that on a deeper level? So I think that maybe that's part of the draw, but I don't want that every day. Sometimes I want
That
really pretty sweet reading, a hug deck, you know?
That's so, so interesting, and I'm really glad that you took the time to explain that because, comparing it to yoga, like, that almost just brought tears to my eyes a little bit of, like, feeling like, "Okay, I understand you're being in a yoga pose and feeling like you can't wait for it to be
Oh,
over."
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
you can't.
Um yeah, I really resonate with that, and, I can understand how you would get there with this deck if you're looking at it in that way. I get it.
And I don't know, there's something really powerful about that practice for me, which is what keeps me coming back, like, which is what has made me a yogi for life, you know? And I remember when I was pregnant with Ani, with my first daughter, and I was talking to my midwife, who was kind of like a confronting person. Like she was tough, you know, and I wanted to have a natural childbirth was my goal, if possible. I was open to, whatever. You never know what's going to happen with childbirth. And she was trying to mentally prepare me for that. And she was like, "Well, what's the hardest thing you've ever done?" And I'm like, yoga. And she kind of like gave me one of those. She was like, "Well, a natural childbirth is going to be like digging a ditch outside for 12 hours." I was like, "Oh my God." And like, I left being
D
like, eh. But I mean, yoga is what got me through like having babies. Like it is this practice of sitting inside of discomfort and suffering and pain and like being very, very present for it and not just automatically disassociating, which is something that I did for years and years and years as a way to deal with my pain. That like it's just such a powerful practice. And yoga really does that on a physical level, which is also, mental and emotional and spiritual. But like tarot does it in this different way because it's not a physical experience. It's you're sitting, you're pulling some cards, you're looking at them, taking them in. It's more of like a visual experience. And then it becomes
mental.
mental and emotional and spiritual too. So I don't know. I like that. And it's funny because I didn't really think about that until we're having this conversation about what is it about these darker decks or like more
Yeah.
disturbing decks that I'm like into. So back to Marielle, it's like this energy is not something I'm open to working with every day. It's something I'm open to working with, and I really did enjoy it. And I will keep this in my collection and reach for it at specific times. But it's not an energy I'm just like down with on a daily basis.
Yeah. So, I feel like there's a part of this deck that doesn't really I it's like card by card. There are things
Yeah.
where you're like, "Oh, okay, like, this isn't these images that I pulled out here are some of the ones that I really liked." Like, these are not confronting images. They're things that you can pull a lot from, but, like, I really like all of these paintings that I have
Yeah,
here.
even this is so beautiful.
Yes, yes. And then you have things like even just the King of Wands, which isn't typically a confronting card, like, those eyes there, just
Yeah.
th I don't know, and then Death looking very similar, and, like, why do these look similar? And this Three of Wands, which,
Oh,
again, not
I just had that one to be like, and then there's this.
why?
Yeah.
Why? It's not a typically confronting card, but, like, this card makes my skin crawl. I saw this card and I'm like, "I can't have a deck that, like, makes me feel like this."
And then you have
No.
like Five of Cups, which is typically, has more of despair and grief aspect to it, and you have like a unicorn on a well. It's
Yeah,
just, you
right.
really have to go to the guidebook. You really do to
And
understand
then
what's happening here. Like when I laid out the cards, I was like, what is happening here? And then when I dig into it with the guidebook, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it. I'm wrapping my brain around, 90% of this. Some of it is still like, okay, I gotta study some stuff to understand.
It would be a great study deck,
Oh, it
really.
definitely would be, for
Yeah.
sure.
And then the other card that I thought was kind of interesting, I really like finding comparisons between cards that are similar. This Eight of Swords here reminded me so much of Goblins and Gardens. The card Five of Swords.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
look at those.
Yeah. Well, didn't I send you a bunch of pictures of, because that was in one of my readings from multiple decks, that same like archway, portal, gate,
Oh yeah. Yep.
like coming up over and over from multiple decks. I was like, this is a thing right now. But yeah, I that card was one of the that was me in my deck interview.
Yeah, what did you take from that? Like what was your interpretation of that for you?
It's opening the gate. There is no lock or latch on the gate. It's open. You just need to know it's open. You can walk through. When a change in perception comes and a problem is solved, you will walk through. The key is to have a light and open heart and to know and be true to yourself. The gate of the Eight of Swords is a point of no return. You will be forever changed by it. The gates of perception were open, and if you walked through accepting the fiery transformation, it will burn away the old perceptions you once had, replacing them with something bigger and wider. But once the gate is open, you will never be the same. Sometimes you just have to wait until you're ready. Those were my notes.
Lovely. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then I got that again in my library of questions with what I'm searching for.
Ooh, you're
Yeah,
searching for yourself.
so it was very much like that symbolism is very prevalent in a lot of my readings right now. I thought it was really spot on. Like the readings that I did with this deck were extremely accurate and insightful and helpful and just deep and intense.
And the artwork itself is technically beautiful. Like it requires such skill to be able to create a piece of artwork like this, not much less 78 of them. Like I have so much respect for the artwork itself. It's just I I almost wish there was like a Mary L light where it was just the images that are like this and I'd be all over that, right?
Yeah, or like an oracle where you could just pull out the ones you don't like and use the rest as a complete deck.
But like we kind of knew that coming into it
Yeah,
when I
we
said
did.
like how I
I mean,
felt like I was being dragged kicking and screaming into this deck connectors week. Like we knew that this was where it was headed.
yes, we did. And I was trying to be like, well, maybe this is just like a way for you to explore something new and see if it's for you, put your toe in, give
Yeah.
it a chance, or, just do an interview and throw it out.
And straight back into the box and goodbye. But at least I will say I didn't expect deck connectors to be a kind of culling process for me because now this is going to be, is this the third deck that I'm like, it's a no?
Yeah.
So I didn't really go into it thinking that that was how this was going to work for me, but it really is. And I am enjoying that because I'm pretty decisive when it comes to things.
You are.
Yeah, so like this has been helpful for me just being able to look at my collection with a critical eye and move things along if I know that it's not going to work. Like this has been very helpful.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So goodbye, Mary L. R.I.P. Any final words?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered everything with this one. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, not for everybody, but if this kind of thing calls to you and you want to work with it. And I also do think that this is if you are someone who studies the different systems of tarot, that this would be a deck that would be a good fit because it does touch on and pull from so many different systems.
Yeah, the Fool card itself looks so thothy. It
It's
blew my mind.
it's very thothy and but also has, meanings from the RWS and pulls a lot from, the Tree of Life.
So next week is going to be a palette cleanser, right? We have Discovering Beauty.
Yes.
Fingers crossed that that will resonate for both of us and be pleasant.
Yep.
And we have a special guest coming, and it's Shanna. So sincerely, Shanna D. So we're super excited about that.
So
And
excited.
then the week after that, we didn't set a deck for because we potentially have like another unrelated to like not quite a deck connectors episode, but another different thing in the works for that week. And then the
Yes.
week after that is going to be Lacrimosa. That's our final week in October, and that's going to be with Afton with a Z.
Yeah, so exciting. And those decks are like, we already know how we feel about them. It'll just be really fun to spend more time, like more concentrated time with them.
Yeah, I mean, I know how I feel about them right now, but who knows how I'm going to feel about them after a week
Oh
of
no,
working with them.
no one is safe.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now. Like, geez, I can kind of be cutthroat with these, but I'm here
Oh,
for it.
it's all those Scorpio vibes, I'm telling you. Snip, snip.
So thank you for really being you're the 10 of wands for this deck. You carried this episode.
I did. I did the work. I put in the work. I liked it though. I was down.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
That was cool.
All right.
All
Talk to
right.
you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Signing out.